My sister tried to embarrass me in front of everyone, but she forgot one crucial detail. Do you remember Rodney? Your childhood friend who cried all the time? My sister Elaine asked in a sweet voice that always meant trouble. I just feel so terrible that he never gets invited to anything, she continued. Since you're single, why don't you bring him as your date? That way at least you won't be alone at my wedding. I almost laughed. She felt bad for him? After nearly drowning him in the pool as a kid and laughing when he cried to his mom? I doubted it, but I still agreed to her request. Rodney was always a nice kid, even if he hid behind me when he got picked on and cried all the time. But I didn't realize my sister Elaine had something else in mind until she forgot to hang up the call properly. I heard her go back to giggling to a friend on her laptop. My sister's actually bringing Rodney. Can you believe it? I told her to bring him out of kindness, and she actually bought it. Wait until everyone sees her walking in with that crying loser. They'll see just how desperate and pathetic her dating life is compared to mine. My eyes widened. I fell right into her trap. And if I backed out now, I was sure she'd turn it around and make me look petty and jealous. So I tracked down Rodney through old school contacts and immediately told him everything, thinking I could at least save one of us from embarrassment. When I called, he sounded genuinely surprised but still agreed to come. I appreciate you looking out for me, but I won't let you go through this alone. Besides, I haven't been to a wedding in years, he said. This could be fun. On the day of the wedding, I was prepared for disaster. I'd even practiced clapbacks for when people laughed at Rodney. Then the doorbell rang. I opened it expecting to see the same scrawny kid with thick glasses and chronic allergies. Instead, I was standing face to face with a 6'2" Henry Cavill-looking guy in a perfectly tailored suit. Hi, I'm looking for Rodney, I said, nervously shifting around. Yep, that's me. Ready to go? The handsome guy responded. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. This was not Rodney. Sure, everyone had a little bit of a glow-up since high school, but nothing like this. Shut up, you're not crybaby Rodney. He grinned. Well, I'm not a crybaby anymore, but if it helps, the suit does make me look a little different. But it wasn't the suit. Even when we walked in the wedding hall, every head turned. Some jaws dropped so low, it nearly hit the carpet. My sister's fake sweet greeting died on her lips. Rodney? Her eyes bulged out. Hey, Elaine, it's been years. Thanks for inviting me to your wedding. No one could focus on the ceremony. Not with tall and handsome sitting near the aisle, completely stealing the show. My sister looked furious. She tried to recover her plan during the reception, loudly telling her bridesmaids how Rodney used to cry during PE class. But Rodney was ready. He looked at me with a soft expression and said warmly, "That's why I was lucky to have this girl help me through my panic attacks." She was like an angel. My sister had no choice but to smile and agree with the compliment while her bridesmaids cooed about how sweet I was. She tried again later during the wedding toasts, bringing up how Rodney used to get stuffed in lockers, but he just laughed. And now I barely fit in one, he said, gesturing to the muscles. All the girls nearby swooned. Then she pulled out her final trump card. She mentioned his weird anime drawings and how he probably still watches it like a nerd. But her new husband's face lit up. Hey, I'm a huge anime nerd too, he grinned. Elaine's face scrunched up. What the? You never told me you watched cartoons. Rodney and I giggled on the side watching them break out into their first fight as newlyweds. Things only got worse when my mother pulled Elaine aside and gushed about Rodney, asking, "Why didn't you tell me your sister was dating someone so successful?" And during the first dance, nobody paid attention to the bride and groom. Everyone's eyes were on Rodney as he danced with me. Elaine finally snapped and cornered me in the bathroom. All right, Spill, where did you find this actor? This isn't the real Rodney. But when I tried to explain that it really was crybaby Rodney, she refused to listen and just dragged me back to the reception. She asked the DJ to stop and place the spotlight on us. Everyone's curious. What's your little love story? She expected me to admit this was all just a setup, a ruse. But Rodney stepped in and took the microphone. She called me out of the blue. I was honestly shocked, because I'd been wanting to date her since we were kids. I just never had the courage. But this wedding finally gave me the chance, he said, looking straight at me. I felt my heart race as the entire room erupted in awes. Elaine couldn't do anything but laugh in disbelief that her evil plan turned her into the greatest matchmaker. But the real shock came the next morning. Elaine sent me a photo, a yearbook picture of Rodney from his high school. The person in the photo was completely different from the man who'd been my date. Completely different face, different height. Interesting date choice, she texted. Wonder what happened to the actual Rodney. I turned to look at the man still sleeping in my bed. If you're not Rodney, who are you? And what happened to Rodney? He gave me this evil smirk. My whole body went cold staring at that smirk. My phone kept buzzing on the nightstand, but I couldn't look away from his face. This man in my bed wasn't Rodney. He never was. My hand started shaking as I grabbed my phone and saw 3 texts from Elaine with a yearbook photo attached. The kid in that photo looked nothing like the guy sitting up in my sheets right now. I forced my voice to stay steady even though my heart was pounding, so hard I could hear it in my ears. Who are you? What's your real name? He stretched like this was a normal morning and gave me this calm smile that made my skin crawl. My name's Carson. I figured you'd realize sooner, honestly. He said it so casually like we were talking about the weather. I stared at him waiting for more of an explanation. He sat up against my headboard looking completely comfortable. I knew Rodney when we were kids. Thought it would be poetic justice to show up as him at your sister's wedding after how she treated us back then. His explanation sounded practiced, like he'd rehearsed it. But something felt off about the whole thing. My brain kept screaming at me to get him out of my apartment right now. I pulled the blanket tighter around myself and stood up. You need to leave. Right now. My voice came out firmer than I expected, but my hands were still shaking. Carson didn't move fast. He took his time getting out of bed and finding his clothes from last night. The whole time he kept talking about how real our connection felt, and how I was overreacting to something that didn't really matter. He pulled on his shirt slowly like he had all the time in the world. We had fun, right? Does it really matter what name I used? I wanted to scream at him, but I just pointed at my door. Get out. Now. He finally left, but not before giving me this look like I was being unreasonable. The second my door closed, I locked it and checked it twice. Then I grabbed my phone and called Maya because I needed someone to tell me I wasn't crazy for feeling scared and violated right now. She picked up on the second ring, and I barely got the words out before I started crying. She told me to stay put and she'd be there in 20 minutes. I sat on my couch staring at my door until I heard her knock. Maya came in with 2 coffees and her laptop already open. She sat next to me and put her arm around my shoulders. Okay, tell me everything from the beginning. We started going through every single interaction I'd had with Rodney from the first message to last night. Maya pulled up the Instagram account that had messaged me about the wedding. The account was created 3 weeks before Elaine's wedding. Only 3 weeks. The profile photo was blurry enough that I couldn't really see his face clearly. I should have noticed that. Maya squeezed my hand. You were trying to be kind. That's not your fault. I pulled up the yearbook photo Elaine sent me and put it next to the wedding photos on my phone. The differences were so obvious now that I was actually looking. Real Rodney had a rounder face and was way shorter, maybe 5'7". He had different features completely. The man who left my apartment this morning was 6'2" and looked nothing like childhood Rodney. How did I miss this? Maya asked me the hard question then. Did anything happen last night that you didn't consent to? I had to sit with that for a minute. I consented to everything we did, but I consented thinking he was someone else. The violation felt complicated in a way I couldn't put into words yet. Maya nodded like she understood, even though I barely understood it myself. We need to find the real Rodney. Prove that Carson isn't him. Maya opened her laptop and started searching. I tried to remember specific things about childhood Rodney that only he would know. He had a birthmark on his left arm. He was scared of dogs after one chased him in 3rd grade. He collected Pokemon cards and kept them in a blue binder. Maya typed while I talked. She pulled up Facebook first, but there were too many people with that name. Then she tried LinkedIn and filtered by our hometown. There. A profile for a Rodney matching our age range. Works in IT for a company in Portland. His profile photo showed a man who looked exactly like the yearbook picture, just older. 15 years older, but definitely the same person. Round face, shorter build, glasses. Nothing like Carson. My hands started shaking again as I stared at that photo. I was completely deceived. And I let it happen so easily. Maya grabbed my laptop and opened a new tab. We need to secure everything right now. She pulled up my email account and started walking me through password changes. I typed in new passwords for my email, my bank accounts, my social media, even my Netflix because I couldn't remember what Carson might have seen when he was in my apartment. Maya made me write each new password in a notebook and hide it in my desk drawer. She pulled out her phone and looked up how to change apartment door codes online. I followed the instructions, my fingers shaking as I entered the new 6-digit combination into the keypad by my front door. The beep confirming the change felt like the first actual thing I'd done to protect myself since Carson walked out this morning. But even as we worked through the security checklist, my brain kept replaying moments from the wedding. How he knew exactly what to say to counter Elaine's attacks. How he touched my arm when we danced. How he looked at me during that microphone speech like he actually cared. Every memory felt contaminated now. Maya squeezed my shoulder. You couldn't have known. He planned this. I picked up my phone to call Elaine. Maya raised her eyebrows but didn't stop me. Elaine answered on the second ring. I told her everything in one rushed explanation. Carson wasn't Rodney. He lied about his entire identity. He manipulated both of us. The silence on the other end lasted maybe 5 seconds before Elaine's voice came back sharp and defensive. Okay, so you brought some random guy to my wedding and now you're trying to make it my fault? I felt my jaw clench. You set me up to be humiliated. You wanted everyone to laugh at me for bringing the crybaby kid. That's what created the opening for Carson to step in and pretend to be him. Elaine scoffed. I didn't tell him to lie about who he was. That's on you for not recognizing your own childhood friend. Maybe if you'd actually kept in touch with people instead of being so isolated, you would have known what Rodney really looked like. Her words hit exactly where she intended. You literally sent me the yearbook photo proving he's not Rodney. You know I was deceived. And you're still trying to make this about my judgment instead of taking any responsibility for setting up a cruel trap at your own wedding. Elaine's voice got louder. I was just having fun. Everyone plays little jokes at weddings. You're the one who slept with a complete stranger and now you want to blame me because you feel stupid. I hung up. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Maya took it from me and set it on the coffee table. She's not going to help. I know, but I needed to hear her say it out loud. Maya nodded and pulled her laptop closer. She started typing something while I sat there feeling the anger burn hotter than the fear for a minute. Carson had to know about Elaine's plan somehow. He knew exactly what she was trying to do, which means he was either watching our family dynamics online, or he had some previous connection to us that let him know about the wedding trap. The thought made my skin crawl. This wasn't some random opportunity he stumbled into. He planned this. He researched us. He knew Elaine wanted to humiliate me, and he used that knowledge to slide into Rodney's identity at the perfect moment. Maya looked up from her screen. This is way more calculated than just some guy pretending to be someone else for fun. This is someone with a grudge or an obsession who saw his chance and took it. I spent the rest of the day checking my door lock every 20 minutes. Every notification on my phone made me jump. Every footstep in the hallway outside my apartment made me freeze and listen until it passed. Maya stayed through the afternoon even though I knew she had work stuff to do. We ordered Chinese food because I couldn't imagine going to a restaurant where Carson might show up. The delivery guy knocked and I made Maya answer the door while I watched from the kitchen. I felt ridiculous and violated and angry all at the same time. We ate on my couch with the TV on, but I couldn't focus on anything playing. Maya kept up a steady stream of conversation about normal things. Her job, her annoying coworker, some show she was watching. I was grateful she wasn't making me talk about Carson every second, even though he was all I could think about. When Maya finally left around 8, I locked the door behind her and checked it 3 times. I tried to watch TV but gave up after 30 minutes of staring at the screen without processing anything. I got ready for bed early, thinking maybe I could sleep off the worst of the anxiety. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling. Every small sound in my apartment building felt threatening. The neighbor's door closing, someone walking up the stairs, the building settling, the heater clicking on. My mind kept spinning through worst-case scenarios. What if Carson kept a key to my apartment somehow? What if he copied information from my laptop while I was asleep? What if he took photos of me that I don't know about? What if he shows up at my work? I checked my phone. 11:30. I tried closing my eyes, but my brain wouldn't shut off. At 1:15, I got up and checked the door lock again. At 2:30, I checked all my windows. At 3 in the morning, I finally gave up and texted Maya. I know you're probably asleep, but I can't stop thinking about what he might do next. She texted back within 2 minutes. I'm awake. Do you want me to come back over? I told her no, but thank you, and that just knowing she was awake helped. We texted back and forth for another hour about nothing important until I finally felt calm enough to try sleeping again. I dozed off around 4:30 and woke up at 7 feeling worse than if I hadn't slept at all. But lying in bed feeling anxious wasn't helping anything. I got up and made coffee. I needed to approach this like a problem I could solve instead of just a thing that happened to me. I opened my laptop and created a new document. I titled it Carson Timeline and started writing down everything I knew. When he first messaged me, what the account name was, every conversation we had leading up to the wedding, everything he said at the wedding itself, every interaction after. I went through my phone and took screenshots of all our text messages. I wrote down everything he told me about his supposed life, his job that he was vague about, his apartment that he never invited me to, the gym he claimed to go to but never specified which one. Every detail I dismissed as normal now looked like a red flag I should have caught. Maya came back over mid-morning with more coffee and bagels. She sat next to me and looked at my timeline document. This is good. This is really good. We need to find out where he actually lives and works. She opened my phone settings and started going through location history. I watched her scroll through weeks of data. Look at this. Every time you two met up, it was either here at your place or at public spots like coffee shops or restaurants. He never once invited you to his apartment. I pulled the laptop closer and added that to my notes. I tried to remember specific conversations from the wedding and after. Every time I'd asked Carson detailed questions about his life, he'd deflected. When I mentioned maybe visiting his place sometime, he'd changed the subject to how much he loved being at my apartment because it felt cozy. When I asked about meeting his friends, he'd said something about them all being busy with work. Every deflection had seemed smooth and natural at the time. Now they looked like obvious evasion tactics. Maya pulled up our text message history, and we read through everything chronologically. He always messaged first. He texted at weird hours like 2 in the morning or 6 in the morning like he was checking when I was online. The pattern felt creepy now in a way I'd dismissed as him being really interested when I thought he was Rodney reconnecting with an old friend. Maya pointed at the screen. He was monitoring your activity, seeing when you were awake and active so he could time his messages to seem natural. I added all of it to my timeline. Then I opened LinkedIn and searched for the real Rodney. His profile came up again with that photo that looked exactly like the yearbook picture, just older. I clicked the message button and started typing. Hi, Rodney. This is going to sound strange, but someone impersonated you at my sister's wedding last month. I'm trying to verify some information and wanted to confirm that you weren't at a wedding in our hometown recently. I kept it short and factual. I didn't want to sound crazy or accusatory. I just needed confirmation that Carson definitely wasn't somehow the real Rodney with a different past than I remembered. I hit send and closed the laptop. Maya looked at me. Now what? Now we wait and see if he responds. And I figure out what to do next if he confirms that he wasn't there. Maya closed her laptop and looked at me with that serious expression she gets when she's about to say something I won't want to hear. She suggested I think about hiring a private investigator to find out who Carson really is and whether I'm actually in danger. The idea made my stomach hurt because I'm already barely making rent, and my savings account is basically empty. But the thought of not knowing who this person is or what he wants felt way more dangerous than being broke for a few months. Maya must have seen the panic on my face because she immediately pulled out her phone and started searching for investigators in our area. I watched her scroll through websites while my brain kept circling back to the fact that I slept with someone whose real name I don't even know. After about 20 minutes, Maya found a website